Previously on BBISHOPPCM's world.
And I've gone and removed the clamps. This corner came out pretty good. I think I'm going to get some of that stainable wood filler and just kind of carefully fill it in. We'll lightly refinish the whole thing and kind of blend it in as best we can. This is, get some loose veneer. I mean, it's really, you know, I'll give you a quick update on the Bose 901s. As you can see, they're backwards. Well, that's just the way things are sometimes. Actually, they look good backwards. They sound better backwards. See, these are installed in a basement. They're designed to be installed in a corner on a finished wall. In the corner of the finished wall. So that's the way they were designed. That's the way they were made. Welcome back, guys. I just wanted to do a quick little update on the stereo project that I'm trying to set up in the basement. So the Sansui receiver, Sansui 7 receiver, there's a lot of S's there. It sounds pretty good. It's holding its own. It will be rebuilt. Has to be done. It's just it has to be done. But the speakers, I have a little bit of progress that I've a little bit of let me try to rephrase that. A little progress update for you guys. These speakers actually looking pretty good. I actually refinished them. Can you tell? So the tops of the speakers, there was a lot of water rings and stuff. So I sanded it down just a little bit. I didn't go nuts because it's only veneer and you don't want to blast through the veneer. So, but I resanded them and I finished them with Minwax red mahogany. And it almost is a perfect match for what was originally there. Now you got to factor in, you know, over 50 years of aging. But I'd say that's probably what they look like new. Once you factor in the aging and the fading and everything, that's probably what they look like brand new. This one had the worst corner of all of them. This is the one that I had to carve a little material out of, and I had to clamp it in place with wood glue, wood filler. Like this section right here, I rebuilt with wood filler. And of course, we came back once it dried, and we sanded it smooth. And I added a little bit more wood filler in this crack here. But overall, after I stained everything, I think it came out pretty damn good. I mean, it's a 50-year-old speaker, and I didn't pay a dime for it. I'll take any win I can get with these. They're never going to look new again. And the thing is, I did confirm that these are indeed Series 1, based on the label. The label underneath the pedestal mount area, where the terminals are, on the Series 2s, they actually say Series 2. These do not. So that lands them squarely in Revision A category. So these are the original 901s. These are the actual speakers that put Bose on the map. Seriously, this is what put Bose on the map, these speakers. And I think it was all downhill from there. But anyway, not that Sansui fared any better. We'll talk about Sansui in a minute. Now this one, I had to, of course I had to clamp this closed after injecting glue into the crack. This one wasn't so bad, but it did require some wood filler. Little dabbed it in here and there. And then I probably should have resanded this again, but again, refinished the top. This one had a lot of water rings on it. This one had some water damage too. This is actually the front. This is the back. We'll talk about that in a minute. I've got a lot of things to talk about. But I also took a little bit of stain, put it on a rag, and I went over the whole thing. And I got a little bit on the grill cloth, and that's okay because the grill cloth is getting replaced. These are going to get recovered. Not right now, it's not a priority, but I will eventually recover these. So, in the basement, these are the worst possible speaker setup you could ever use. They are terrible. because, again, they're built to project sound off. They're reflection speakers, or reflecting speakers. They reflect the sound off a wall, off a corner. There are 9 drivers in total, 8 on the back, 1 on the front. And when properly set up, these do sound really nice. They sound rich and full. But when left in a basement, they suck. They really suck. And yes, you can turn them backwards. In a case where you don't have a wall to reflect against, you can turn them around and they will project sound into the room, but they weren't designed to work that way, and they don't sound their best that way. They're kind of like the Goldilocks of speakers. I mean, they really are. They're divas, for sure. But damn, are they beautiful. I think with new grill cloth, these things are going to look amazing. So good, in fact, I'm trying to find a way to put them upstairs in the living room, along with the Sansui receiver. And I've been really brainstorming. I think if I found a mid-century modern style radio cabinet or component shelf, I put that receiver on there and maybe a few other things. You know, maybe we come up with a more basement-worthy set of speakers for down here. But these are just too nice. I mean, they really are. The paint on the pedestals is perfect. The wood is looking good. I mean, they're like 5 foot. They look good from 5 feet. It's like a car. It's either a 10-foot car or a 5-foot car or a 100-foot car. They do look good from about 5 to 7 feet away. But yeah, they're not really meant for this kind of environment. So I have them again. If you turn them around, 2 things happen. Well, this one here, if I turn it around, all the sound, you got 4 speakers aimed at that cabinet. And what's on that cabinet? A turntable. So all the sound that thing produces is sent right back to the turntable, creating a feedback loop. Not ideal. Not ideal. Can't put it over there in the corner because there's no good way to set them up. And in my research, the limited research, by the way, just asking a few people who know things about speakers and sound, everyone I've spoken to has said get rid of them. Find somebody who's into Bose equipment and find something else. But I like them. I think they're cool. I think they're very very postmodern. It's kind of a good look for this house. I like them. But yeah. Not good for a basement. Not good for a basement. But yes, in a pinch, you can reverse them like this, and they will project sound, but they just don't sound full. They just don't. They don't have it, man. They just don't have it, even with the equalizer. Now the Sansui receiver, a few people I've mentioned that to. They don't realize that Sansui was once one of the top receiver manufacturers in the world. They were up there they were one of the big names. In the Japanese receiver wars of the 60s and 70s, Sansui was, they were a team player. They were top notch. A Sansui 7 is a very desirable model right now for the vintage audio enthusiasts. It's a great sounding stereo with a lot of amazing features for its time. One of the best tuners. I hear a lot about the tuner, which is ironically the reason mine needs rebuilding. My tuner does not work correctly. It works, but it doesn't put out the right. It's imbalanced. The audio. I talked about this in my first video. One channel's louder than the other. Not ideal. But so that could be easily rectified by, I think, changing out a few capacitors in the tuner circuit. But we'll deal with that later. I am going to modify it so that the lighting is consistent regardless. I don't know why they built it this way. I'm not happy about it, but when you turn it on, see with phono, it lights up beautifully until you turn it on to anything but the receiver. But what's nice about this one is all the bulbs are good. So I may not change them unless it comes in the kit. I think the kit comes with all new lamps. I might just leave the factory ones in because they work fine. I erroneously thought this thing could drive 3 sets of speakers at one time. It turns out it's actually just 2 sets at a time. A and B or A and C. You can hook up, physically connect 3 sets of speakers. It's a nice it's a nice stereo. It really is. Definitely has potential. It has an external noise reduction adapter option. It has 2 external tape I mean, it's a bitchin' stereo. But once I get her all apart, we'll kind of know a little bit more about what makes her tick. I think this is glass. Yeah, that's glass. The cheaper ones use plastic, but this one's glass. The stereos that you would buy at, say, Bradley's or, you know, whatever discount retailer was selling, you know, a lot of the lower end ones, they had plastic dials. This one, that's glass for sure. I mean, it better be. You know, this thing costs the equivalent of about $3,000. This is like imagine spending $6,000 on a stereo right now in 2022. That's kind of what this setup was. $6,000, give or take. The speakers were a little over, it's like $350. I think the stereo was around that too. So yeah, about $6,000 or $7,000 worth of equipment. And it was somebody's pride and joy, and it shows. Just a shame that components age, and it's time to restore it. I have explored ways of using my Sony stereo just to use it until I get that rebuilt. Cannot be used with these speakers because of the equalizer. There's just no good way to hook them up. And the reason for that is that stereo does not have any bypass in the between the preamp and the amplifier. This one will allow you to send audio out and back in again into the amplification side, whereas the Sony does not allow that. It's just meant to drive speakers using its own stuff. But stage 1 of cabinet repair is done. I mean, just a minor touch up, little bit of glue, a little bit of stain, and they look pretty good for free speakers that aren't really worth much. In terms of value, though, today, they are a very niche product. These are not something that everyone's going to clamor for because they're just not. They're so picky with their placement that the market is very small for these, which is why I like them. I like unpopular things, I guess. I don't know. Not that Bose has ever been an underdog. Bose actually sucks as a company. If you do some research, you'll find they kind of suck. And nothing they make today is worth its salt. It's just all the Bose stuff made today is just, usually you find it in living rooms and music rooms of pretentious people. People who just want to spend money for the sake of spending money. That's what Bose is now. It's like Mercedes-Benz. You know, their cars are, I mean, let's be honest, they're terrible compared to what they used to be. But people still buy them because Mercedes-Benz, and the name has a cachet. But so does Bose. You know, Bose was once a pretty top-notch boutique audio manufacturer, but now they're like Mercedes-Benz. They don't really build anything that's worth buying, but because it says Bose on it. I don't know if it's as kitschy as Bang & Olufsen, but I gotta admit, some of that old Bang & Olufsen stuff was pretty damn cool. But definitely not anything that I want. I'm not an audio guy. I just like music. I mean, I have unique tastes, I guess. Spyro Gyra, I love these. This band is awesome. Spyro Gyra. John Coltrane, a little Tom Lehrer, Sting. I've been buying a lot of albums from thrift stores that I remember as a kid but never owned. When I was in high school, I never owned a Dave Matthews Band record or CD. Organ music. That's how you test speakers, by the way. Organ music. Anyway, I listen to basically weird stuff, I guess. I don't know. Dave Matthews. I never got into Dave Matthews when I was a kid, and they were super popular back then. I grew up during their initial reign of terror, and I didn't mean that way, but they were one of the popular bands when I was in high school, but I never got into them until like 5 years after I graduated. But anyway, interestingly enough, the stereo speakers are finished in a beautiful, I think this is walnut. I'm not really sure what species wood this is, but it's easily found if you look. Interestingly enough, though, the equalizer is built in one of the cheapest wooden cabinets I've ever seen, and this is not real wood. This is just this is vinyl, simulated wood grain, and yeah, it's not even trying to be anything. It's not. It's just simulated wood grain. Department store stereo grade cabinetry, very cheaply made. But so don't try to sand this to make it match, because you're going to be very disappointed with the results. That is not veneer. That is vinyl. At least it looks like it. Yeah, I'm going to say that's printed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's printed on. So don't try to refinish that, because you're going to be very upset with the end results. All right. Well, on that note, I think it's time for me to go.